Did you know that 1 in 5 Americans are mentally ill? To one degree or another. That's 63 million people who have some sort of mental illness. And this is from a 2010 report from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. And just as interestingly, 1 in 5 Americans are on some kind of psychotropic drug, which I am here to tell you is a blessing. Stay on your meds and don't listen to those morons who are trying to tell you that your medications are the problem. And only 60% of people who've got some kind of mental illness get treatment, which means there must be millions more out there. And because since the 60s or 70s, all these patients have been dumped on the streets, become homeless, and are deinstitutionalized because of the glorious ACLU making sure that everybody has their rights, they're now in danger. According to a PBS report that I read, there's 2 biggest reasons for homelessness: addiction and mental health. 40% of the homeless men are veterans. What does that tell you about the PTSD in wartime? And what is the VA Veterans Administration doing to help them, and how are they being funded? Well, I'll tell you what's happening. It's talk, 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 blah, blah, blah. Guess how many people that have some sort of mental health problem commit murders? 4%. And you're going after the 4%? That statistic is according to your New York Times. I have no violent inclinations, and I would guess that the more than 63 million people who struggle emotionally or mentally don't either. Why are we being picked on? Why don't you ship us all to the gulags in Russia? Oh, maybe you don't need to do that, because if we disagree with Obama and make a video, then we must be crazy. So you're going to watch us all? Is that what you're going to do? Maybe you ought to watch some of the liberals in the Northeast who are Obama zombies. Isn't that a mental illness? I had a son who tried to kill himself in my house. And it was with drugs. Overdose of drugs. That's the biggest reason, or the biggest method of suicide. It's not guns. And when he went to the ER, he stayed a couple days, you know, and had a drive-by evaluation with a nurse for 15 minutes, and then spent another week at a drug rehab place. And then they asked him if he was a danger to himself, and he said no. So guess what they did? You're way ahead of me. They let him go. I don't have money for private rehab. And by the way, that's the biggest injustice in the whole mental health field. It's money. It's privilege. So why do you think any of these privileged politicians care about you? The government has just created a revolving door of people who suffer. And if you're one of those people who think that somehow mental health issues are made up and the only real issues are physical, well, my great-grandfather had it, my father had it, my siblings have it, my sons have it. You don't think it's hereditary? You haven't done your homework. You are lazy liberals out there focusing on either gun control or mental health. And if the government ever did decide to do something about creating institutions for mental health, that makes me even more worried You think Obama's any better than some Russian socialist communist? Do you think he would have any qualms about institutionalizing anybody who disagrees with him? Obama gulags, where dissidents make their life or death. You are criminally insane if you disagree with Barack Obama. Isn't that how the other socialist countries are doing it? And oh, by the way, did you know that homicide is the 9th cause of death in America? And I would guess that the majority of those are in urban cities. So how are we going to get attention to the 8 other reasons above homicide that are all medically related? Medically related. Unless you plan on helping us, shut the F up.